everything you need to transform your serve and hit with world-class technique. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and pull out your serve next to Federer from that rear angle and from that side angle, just like that. And along each phase of the shot, from the toss and wind up to the acceleration to the contact and follow through, you're gonna learn the exact changes that you can implement to start hitting with effortless power. The first element that we're gonna wanna improve is with the stance. One thing you'll notice between you and Federer is that your back leg is positioned more up. And what this is causing is, as you execute your toss and wind up, your trunk and hip is not in enough of a rotated position as we want. By having less rotation, this is essentially giving you less power into the serve. Whereas by having it more rotated, this is gonna allow you to get so much more effortless power from the trunk. So the first piece is, with that right leg, we wanna have that right leg positioned in the heel just like that. The second element that we're gonna master is the toss. With that improved back leg position, when you're tossing in the future, right now what's happening is your arm is already positioned, pointed towards the net as you initiate your toss. Versus what we're gonna want in the future is, if we look at any top server, they're all gonna toss with their arm lined up with the baseline just like that. The benefit of this is it gives you so much more accuracy and fluidity with your placement. The second element is, as you release your toss, notice the difference how when Federer releases, that left arm is gonna continuously travel up to be pointed directly up at the sky. Now, the huge benefit of this, and what we want you to incorporate, is what's known as lateral trunk tilt. That's where the left shoulder is higher than the right. So not only will tossing parallel and releasing at about eye level and following through with that arm going up, not only is that gonna give you a better location with your toss and more accuracy, but it's also gonna give you that lateral tilt, which is critical. As you can see with the trunk, how it is right here, the power is not as significant, whereas if we get that trunk back, now we can go up and create more racket flip into that pro drop, just like that. So it feels very effortless and amazing.
It's Brian Mariotti. I'm learning from Grant.
Hi, I'm James Suckling.
The results came so quickly.
You might know me from my masterclass on wine, but actually I'm a keen tennis player.
Quick recap is, you're gonna master that right leg back. Number two, you're gonna master that toss going up and releasing at about eye level, and then finishing with it going up and bending simultaneously. Now, let's jump into the bending piece. So one thing you'll notice is that as Federer tosses, as his left arm starts to rise, his knees start to bend. So it's a very fluid, effortless, almost kind of rocking motion to achieve these key configurations. The specific step-by-step process that you can follow to master this is, number one, I highly recommend that you use filming to make sure that you're implementing all these key pieces correctly. So as you set up in your next practice session, making sure before you toss that the feet are in the right position, that's number one. Number two, as you're tossing, the arm is gonna be in line with the baseline like that. Number three, your arm is gonna go up and then slightly away from the body. So it's gonna travel like this. Then you're gonna release eye level, bend simultaneously, and then get that full tilt position, where now your trunk and hip are gonna be more rotated, and you're gonna be in a more laterally tilted position with the left arm up. The final element for you to master is, notice if we draw a line from Federer's chest to his knees versus a line from your chest to your knees, you'll see that you have an arc in the spine like that. Now, this means that you're just a highly athletic person and you're naturally wanting to keep the spine stable. However, what's happening is, the reason why you'll see every top player, when they finish their windup, they'll have their head to their knees in a straight line, is because now when the legs drive, this will translate into more significant downward racket head speed. This downward racket head speed creates this pro drop position, which we're gonna cover, which is really the key to generating that easy power going into the serve. And once I implemented these pieces on my serve, I was able to try less and get more power. Now, let's go into the acceleration. So this is where you're really gonna see some transformative benefits. And by the way, don't move on until you filmed yourself and validated that you're now achieving those key checkpoints that we covered. I'm gonna assume now that you've mastered those foundational elements before we move on to master the more advanced serving techniques. So the number one thing that you're gonna wanna improve is with your acceleration. Notice how when Federer accelerates, his racket will, when the legs drive, his racket is gonna go down and stay on edge. So you see how the edge of his racket is pointed going directly down just like that. Versus in comparison, your racket is staying open. And the challenge with that is when you're swinging, because Federer has that racket on edge, he's able to create the pro drop position, whereas your racket is still staying in an open position. And what this is doing is you're only able to generate power from the wrist and forearm, whereas Federer and these other top players are able to generate power from the shoulder, from that shoulder internal rotation going into the serve just like that for loads of easy power. So that's the biggest thing that we're gonna wanna master. And here's the exact step-by-step process that you can follow to master it. In the first drill, what I want you to do is focus on just very controlled shadow swings, where you're gonna go ahead and do a nice fluid toss, a bend. You've mastered these checkpoints. Now what I want you to focus on is instead of tilting initially and then driving the legs, I want you to drive the legs, then rotate the trunk, then have the edge come in. So all together it should look like this. Watch the sequencing. Leg drive, rotation, the edge going in. Whereas right now what's happening with you is you're tilting and then driving the legs. This sequencing is going to transform the pop on your serve because it's gonna allow you to create natural elastic energy from the muscle fibers. In other words, by driving the legs, then rotating, it's creating a stretch and shorten cycle, storing natural energy in these big core muscles, giving you so much more whip going forward into the serve. So that's the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is just those controlled shadow swings. Maybe you can look at yourself in a mirror or film yourself, get that immediate feedback. But the main thing to focus on is simply that the legs are driving, the trunk is rotating, and the edge is going in, the edge will go out, and then the edge will go up into contact. Another drill, once you've got that really dialed in, another drill that's gonna really accelerate your development is to use 2 rackets. And what you're gonna focus on is grabbing these 2 rackets and focusing on getting that racket tip set to be directly up on edge, driving the legs rotating, and feeling the weight of your body pull the racket down and around. So you're gonna load up and leg drive. And you'll see here, I'm not as much swinging as I am just letting the weight of my body pull the racket forward. As you get more comfortable in advance, you'll incorporate a full rotation in the court with that right leg kicking back, feeling that effortless pop. And I'm just gonna start feeling that stretch going down. It's gonna be amazing. Then, as you're doing it, you're gonna start feeling this muscle of the shoulder really warm up. And I'm gonna pop a few serves. I love this drill so much. So now I've got more of that momentum. My racket feels light. I'm feeling confident. And it just feels so effortless. I love that. Setting up, driving, the legs, and you'll see it, just amazing result right off the bat. So I'm so thrilled for you to work that. All right, we've covered a lot so far, but now if you're following this diligently, you're gonna master that right leg being back. You're gonna master the toss and bend. The tip's gonna be up, the hip's gonna be up. You're gonna drive the legs. You're gonna get that pro drop position. Lastly, let's cover your contact and follow through. So the first piece is I want to congratulate you for the amount of acceleration that you're getting, and also congratulate you on, if we look at your arm position, it's almost perfect. The number one piece that you want to correct is with your contact, you want to have your wrist in a slightly more radially deviated position. The reason why this is so powerful And also another bonus tip, you want to have that index finger a little bit higher. This is going to allow you to get more from shoulder internal rotation. Just like that, the shoulder going forward and around. That's the number one source of power. The second thing to improve is going to be the positioning of your trunk. So if we look at Federer's contact, you'll see as he follows through, that trunk is going to go forward into the court, whereas yours is going to go to the side and kind of back. The third and final element that you want to master with your contact is the follow through. When you finish your swing, your arm immediately comes down like that and around. Essentially what this means is that you're using two muscles differently than Federer's using. When Federer's accelerating, he's powering his serve predominantly through the shoulder, and that's evinced by his follow through of shoulder internal rotation, versus yours is powered by the wrist flexing and going down. Now the wrist, because it's a significantly smaller muscle than the shoulder, you're gonna get smaller amounts of power. So that's gonna be so huge and transformative for you to really tapping into that effortless pop. In this last drill, what I really want you to focus on, this is gonna be so much fun. This, by the way, is like the key that allows so many of my students to transform. They love this drill. Focus, first off, when you're learning anything new, you don't wanna go like right after it, but take it in incremental steps. So the first piece is focus on, with all that new and improved parts of your serve, focus on just being very fluid and emphasizing the contact and finish. And you'll see how I'm focusing on just going very smooth, not even jumping, but just focusing on getting that shoulder internal rotation at contact. That's the key to getting that really easy power. So I'm just being very smooth, rewiring that muscle memory. And once you get comfortable with that, shoulder internal rotation, you can implement it into your full serve, feeling it finish out to the side every single time, just like that. Another great exercise is to hit the ball straight down the line. So hitting it straight down the line with that finish. That's gonna force you to internally rotate your shoulder just like that into the serve. And the last drill, piecing everything together, is gonna be all about getting your trunk positioned more in front. When you get your trunk position more in front, it's gonna allow you to tap into so much more force from all of your momentum going into the shot. So in this last drill, you're gonna do variations. Number one, hitting the ball down the line, and then hitting the ball down the line directly down the line, and then directly down. The reason why hitting the ball down is gonna be so great for you is it's gonna force you to make contact more in front, popping the ball, finishing to the side. And if I knew everything that you just learned from the very beginning, it would have saved me so much time. So I'm so excited for you to transform that serve and grateful to be your coach. Let's go.
Hi, this is Christian from Germany. I'm taking part in the forehand transformation program, and I was really struggling with my take back and not having such a huge take back because I've learned tennis in the 80s and I really struggled with this. Taking the progressions and really working with the progression that Grant is providing in the program helped me a lot to really get that take back and that motion like fluently, and I'm still working on it, but it feels so great. I'm super motivated, and if I would give myself a recommendation, I would surely buy it again. So it's really a great thing to do this, the forehand transformation program. Highly recommend it. Thank you, Grant.